Support WrestleTalk!
Be kind to each other in the comments. Hopefully, Slapjack and Mace are going to be no more, because both of them have been unmasked to probably reveal saber-toothed tiger and porcupine. I'm Mr. Davis. No, I don't have eyebrows still. I thought they would have grown back a lot more by now. I've had to readjust all of the filming setups, by the way, because there's no hair to cater for anymore. This camera is well, the camera was pointing up to usually accommodate for more hair.
Oh,
the news camera I had to be stood in a completely different position to get all the hair in. I didn't know it'd be that much of a big deal. And I'm joined by lukewarm Luke Owen.
I am surprised you thought your eyebrows would be back. Like we all said, and you yourself said in your research, it would take 4 to 5 weeks to come back. So you were like, 2 days, and they'll be like fully bushy again.
Yeah.
Like I think that was quite an overestimate. That was what's the word I'm after? I don't know. Optimistic is the word I'm after. It was optimistic of you.
It's just, I think everybody always thinks, but maybe I'm the one. You know, when you see people chowing down powdered cinnamon, and you're like, but maybe I could.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I've been that person. I was that person because when I did the cinnamon challenge on an old YouTube video, because I was a reckless 20-year-old, I was like, I mean, yeah, you can't do it, but it's only cinnamon. I could definitely do this. It's dead easy. I could not do it. Scott Simmons has got a very important question. Is Luke or Ollie on the right or left? Great question. Just to make sure I'm on the left.
Yes, I am Luke Owen, and I'm joined by Mr. Davis. Right, so let's talk about last night's episode of Raw. Of course, get all your hyperchats into WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them before the end of the show. And we're kicking off with probably one of the better things to happen in WWE on Monday nights for the last 4 weeks. Not because it's good, just because it's not terrible. And that is Retribution. Been a thing since last summer. It was crap. It always was crap. Even the people who liked it surely have to admit that WWE never did anything with them. The names were stupid. The looks were goofy. The angles were undermined in the long run. But here we have Mace and Slapjack. No, T-Bar, who attacked Drew McIntyre at the end of last week's episode. We thought, they're going to join with the Hurt Business. MVP has said unequivocally they are in no way affiliated with the Hurt Business. Bobby Lashley's the boss. He's already downsized the Hurt Business. I'm very confused about the power structure in that faction, because I always thought it was MVP calling the shots.
Yeah, but he's the almighty Bobby Lashley. So, of course, he's going to be the one who's making the hiring and firing decisions. MVP, I don't think he serves much of a role in the business side of things. If Bubbles is the person who is doing pretty much all the legwork, literally in ring and out of it.
Because of the cane. Because Drew McIntyre came out at the start of this episode and was like, I want to chat to MVP specifically because this has his fingerprints all over it. Of course, it was MVP who cut the deal to get Lashley to attack Drew McIntyre so The Miz could cash in. So yeah, it fits within the pattern of behavior. Baron Corbin as well. And I can't remember what side I came down on, or you last week, because I was just so dejected by the entire miserable experience. Did I think Retribution were affiliated with the Hurt Business? I think I probably said yes, and you said no.
I don't think you did. I think we've just said that this is just a Baron Corbin situation. It's that WWE clearly didn't believe that Cedric or Shelton could realistically beat up Drew McIntyre. So they've had to add some big lads in there, like Baron Corbin and the lads from Retribution, to make this more believable. Or it's just a case, as it's probably more likely, they're just making it up as they go along. So it doesn't actually matter. There's nothing that really has a point. Nothing is really there to make sense because they're just making it up as they go along.
It's content.
Yeah.
You've got 3 hours every week. You've got to put something on.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could do Braun Strowman versus Randy Orton, or scrap that and just go into a completely different feud and scrap off all of your Riddle Sheamus plans, which we'll get into when we get to that segment.
I've got to be honest, though. I'm glad we got Orton versus Riddle over Orton versus Strowman. Sometimes plans change and are for the better. Do you remember when we got Kurt Angle in the Shield? Do you remember when we got AJ Styles versus Finn Balor instead of Bray Wyatt in drag?
Yeah, but like there was a point in your review when you said a first time ever match between Randy and Braun. I was like, bollocks, is that a first time ever match? I feel like I've seen that match 1,000 times. That's never a first time match.
That's what the social media accounts said, Luke. Are you accusing WWE's social media accounts of potentially overhyping a matchup?
Well, I mean, let's not say, I mean, I was about to say social media accounts, but the commentators also did not know who T-Bar and Mace were after they'd been unmasked, despite the fact that one of them used to commentate with them, and Mustafa Ali on Raw Talk said it was Dominic Dijak and it was Dio Madden. Well, when people said it was like, the reason why you don't get storylines is because you don't watch Raw Talk. I don't think WWE watched Raw Talk because Mustafa Ali told us on Raw Talk that's who they were. But WWE they think we're thick and that we don't pay attention. That it doesn't matter. Like, just tell them it's not the lad from Raw Underground now. It's not Dabba-Kato anymore. He's Colonel Aziz or whatever his name is. Because you're stupid and you'll just believe what we tell you.
Yes, and gobble it down we will. So Drew set up this thing with MVP. MVP was like, nothing to do with us. Although he was, sort of watching stuff from backstage later. It alluded that there were bigger plans in place on the part of MVP and Lashley. Lashley wasn't on this show at all, by the way. Neither was The Fiend. Neither was AJ Styles. Neither was Amos. It was boring. It was a boring show. A lot of big names missing. Who knows? I think we can all probably make assumptions, but maybe it also could be WrestleMania time off.
I believe the Amos thing is because he's not cleared to wrestle. So like after WrestleMania, he wasn't cleared for in-ring competition. That's what Sean was saying on the Fightful podcast.
From what?
All the in-ring work he did at WrestleMania.
He didn't take a bump. Yeah, everyone else took the bumps.
Exactly. So he's not cleared to wrestle. So that's why they're not on TV at the moment. That's what Sean said.
Okay. Well, just have AJ Styles wrestle singles matches and have him outside.
Oh, you mean like what they were doing before WrestleMania?
Yes. So then later on, in that opening segment, T-Bar and Mace attacked Drew McIntyre. They walked past MVP as like, we've never seen you before. They didn't acknowledge each other. And then before that, T-Bar and Mace cut this goddamn awful, stupid, ridiculous it's not awful. It's just so lame. They started talking back and forth to Kevin Patrick, whatever his name is, as soon as they got backstage. And they were like, porcupines, hedgehogs, just listing animals. And I was like, what? Are these the rejected names for Retribution? Why are they saying this? And then I think Mace said saber-toothed tigers. And T-Bar went, yes, they're extinct. And that's what we're going to do to Drew McIntyre. Did you remember Colt Cabana's old worst wrestling promo ever series?
Yeah.
It was like that, but done for realsies.
Garbage stuff. I wrote in my notes here, they talk about their favorite animals because that's what I thought the point of the promo was. And then when they made like the saber-toothed tiger, they're extinct. Like what I now want is I want to see the backstage segments where those two came up with this promo idea where they're like, I'll say this and then you say this. And then I'll say saber-toothed tigers. And that will set up you to go, who are extinct. Yeah, that'll be cool. That'll make us look really badass.
Unless they're going to be called like Extinction or have this associated with their new gimmicks, who knows? Because what happened later was Drew asked Adam Pearce for a 2-on-1 match. Adam Pearce was like, you can't do that. You need a tag team partner. I'm like, what? Like in all the Miz and Morrison matches he had just a couple of months ago. So like Drew has the match.
Had last week.
Yeah.
Literally on this show, Damien Priest had a handicap match.
So Drew has the match. T-Bar and Mace, just sort of equate to one person. Drew was worked over, but I wouldn't say that they absolutely annihilated him. A terrible job in getting over these two big guys as a threat. And they, of course, got disqualified because they were beating up McIntyre too much, which wasn't even that much. Like, I think if you're going to do the DQ finish in WWE nowadays, you have to, use a weapon. Use, a really prolonged beatdown. You can't just do, but they didn't break the count with both in the ring at the same time for 5 seconds, because that's every single tag match.
Oh, I know. And so really, we can cut this very, very short and give the real highlights here. The real, the headlines that you need to know, which is the handicap match ended in DQ because Retribution kicked too much ass. So Braun came down for the save. A tag match was made, and then Drew got DQ'd for kicking too much ass in the tag match. So we had literally 50-50 bookings in DQs. This was woefully bad storytelling.
And usually the reason you do a DQ and a restart right away is to give the fans or viewers an actual finish after that. It's quite rare to do a DQ followed up with a DQ, because that's just the most blue bollocks booking you can do. Not that anyone actually cares by this point with Raw. Not that any goddamn thing on this show means anything. But, let's just pretend, because we're here, let's pretend it does. You give people an actual finish here. What happened was Drew took off Mace's mask, and I think because... Did he hit him with the mask? And that was a DQ? And I can't see what McIntyre did that warranted a disqualification.
I thought he was just kicking too much ass. I thought he got DQ'd for the same reason that the other lads got DQ'd in the first match.
But it was the point of the match where everyone gets in the ring anyway. Was the mask all of a sudden a foreign object because it was taken off of their head?
Probably. It then becomes a chair.
There are so many layers of crap for Raw. You just think, oh no, this is the bad thing. But actually, there are so many layers of inconsistencies, laziness, terrible character. Why was Braun Strowman there? I'm pretty sure Drew dunked on Braun Strowman in the opening promo. But again, it's a case of stuff being driven by what we need right now because we've booked a thing. Oh no, we've booked a thing. How are we going to get out of the thing we've booked? I don't know. Maybe think about the thing you're booking in the first place. No. Braun's in it now. And it's not driven by character. There's no, and that's why you get so much, that's one of the main reasons why nothing means anything anymore. Because it's not driven by motivation. Charlotte, sure, she's so much better as a heel now. I'm glad that's a thing. But wouldn't it be much better if that was some way informed by everything that happened before?
Oh yeah, but there's so much in this company that just means nothing. Riddle getting destroyed by Bobby Lashley last week meant nothing, which means that Riddle losing to Sheamus meant nothing, and then Riddle then beating Randy Orton this week pretty much means nothing as well, because we're just making this up as we go along. So nothing ever means anything, so nothing ever matters, and no one could ever possibly care. It is just, and then you got people like, oh, well, this, and this is why viewership drops. It's just dropped over the years. Do you remember those? And Sean actually reminded me of this. Triple H cut that promo where he was joking with the fans about me and my friend Mark decided that we're not going to watch this show anymore. Yeah, I'll see you next week. Well, guess what, Triple H? They're not watching anymore. That was when you had 5 million people watching. Now you can barely get 1.5. I was just reading an old Observer where nearly 10 million people watched a segment on Raw. 10 million people. And they've just systematically driven those people away with a product that means nothing. And no one, because why get invested in anything on this show? Because at the end of the day, you're just going to get DQ finishes that just do nothing for anyone. How has this furthered the storyline? Has this furthered the character of Drew McIntyre? Has this furthered the characters of Dio Madden and the other one? Has this furthered Braun Strowman? Absolutely not. Has this done anything for Bobby Lashley or the feud at bloody WrestleMania Backlash? No, it hasn't. It did absolutely nothing for anyone.
And even if it did, because I would argue, I know what people are going to say right now. Well, the whole this video is called WWE Drop Retribution's Gimmicks. Surely after Mace's mask being taken off. Then Braun Strowman took off T-Bar's masks. Now they are unmasked. Now it's like, oh, okay, that is a new character direction. That is something that's happened. Well, I think both of us would say to those people who are misguidingly excited that who cares? Because it's not going to pay off in anything. I think it's quite clear WWE do not see anything in these people, which is inexplicable because they're really big. And we usually thought that's McMahon's thing. Plus, I mean, I hate to say it because I'm not usually one who criticizes individual performers. You know, I'll take the company to task in the booking all day long. But I was not impressed by Mace Madden in this match. I thought he was very ropey. And I don't usually pick up on that stuff. So for me to pick up on it, like there was one spot where Drew had to headbutt him off the apron. I was like, oh God, that looks embarrassingly bad. So nothing's going to come from this is what I'm saying. We've seemingly got a new repackaging of Mace and T-Bar here. Hopefully they get away from those god-awful names. But it doesn't matter. Yeah. You think they're going to be called that?
I think there'll still be T-Bar and Mace. Because, what would be the point of changing their names back? If anything, actually, changing the name back to Dio Madden would just add even further confusion as to why the commentators don't know who he is. Because, Guy, you were literally commentating with him. We've all seen the video of him being F5'd through the table by Brock Lesnar. We've seen that happen. We know who Dijak is because we watched NXT. And we've been told that that's who they are. So, yeah, if he then, shows up and my name is now Dio Madden and Corey Graves that goes well, this is a shocking revelation. I was like, well, you're an idiot then, because he's literally been sat next to you for a while.
Some kind of Dio Madden. Well, let's see what you all think on the hyper chats. Get them into WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them. Leon Quashy. Look at poor Mr. Davis. Reviewing Raw has made him lose his hair and his eyebrows. Yeah, pulling it out. With that Retribution promo and all of the women's tag, I would not have been surprised if this Raw was given a 1 out of 5. What a streak Raw is on. The streak there, this is me adding, being like a streak on your underpants of human feces. Yeah, I gave it 2 out of 5 in the end, but that's only because the bar has been set so low by the preceding 3 weeks.
I'll be honest, and there's a comment that was left on our community tab that was given the last couple of weeks of product, this was a masterpiece. And I was like, you're not wrong. This was a much better show. Still real bad, but at least it was only boring.
Nicholas Lama, just hoping that T-Bar and Mace are done with their masks after that match. The Mandy Dana Brooke moment during the women's tag match made me chug a full glass of whiskey, and I don't even like whiskey. This is what WWE does to me. Why? That's my gimmick now. Michael Dess. First, I want to say you guys are great, always entertaining. Do you think WWE is starting to have a WWE look issue? Why does it seem you can't be big and no definition, Keith Lee, or smaller, Ricochet, hold the world title? Jam that jam. That's not a recent thing.
No. Vince has always been a body guy. There's a reason why Ultimate Warrior was a WWF champion and Mr. Perfect was not. It's because the Ultimate Warrior looked like the Ultimate Warrior. He is always been a body guy.
Anthony Velasquez, another bad week of Raw. Here is some money for you guys for having to watch this awful show. Thank you, much appreciated. Dean Barretton, the way Bliss spoke about bullies and Flair's actions made me think the direction is a feud after Backlash. I'm not against it, but let's hope Flair doesn't win with one natural selection. After this, I hope they move Flair to SmackDown and Bayley to Raw. That's not a bad little shake-up, but I think Bliss and Flair is where this company is just very excited to get to. Mactive247, why at this point are we all puppets to the puppet master Vince? He has us watching Bull S-word every week. I can't comprehend that Raw and SmackDown are meant to have the same writers and we get this for the flagship show.
Well, I suppose that means that I guess Raw is no longer the flagship show. SmackDown does get the better ratings, marginally.
Yeah, but USA Network are over the moon about that. Benjamin Cross, do you think Riddle is getting a 3-week push, or is it 50-50 booking next week?
Oh, yeah, Randy's got to get his win back. Can't get a momentum off of something.
We'll get on to that shortly in the full review. Bazo Banks, no joke, when I saw Mandy and Dana come out, I turned off Raw and watched Banks Belair on repeat for the rest of the show. Tired of seeing Shayna look stupid when just 2 years ago she was the topic of conversation in NXT. Now she's taking 3-minute pins. F off. Matthew Howard, hi chaps, first time Ultra Chatter. What are your thoughts? What you thoughts were on why you think Raw so much worse than SmackDown, given that they are the same creative team. I wonder if they have fallen out with the USA Network and are intentionally producing a bad product.
Oh, Matthew Howard, they think this is good. Make no mistake about it. They think this is good. They're not putting on a bad show on purpose. There's no greater conspiracy here that this is some sort of genius move. It's like when people say Retribution, you're not seeing the actual subtleties. It's a real dig at Antifa and things like. No, they just think it's good. They think this is a great product and we should be very happy that we're watching it.
I would also point to WWE has a very carny attitude to any promotion. It's just secure any sort of company. It's just secured a long-term deal with. So if you just signed a very big money deal with WWE, they'll crap on you as soon as it starts, and they'll only start to show interest again when it's near the expiration date. Peacock Premium's in the bag. All right, we can give up on that then. Let's focus on Fox. And I'll just do this last one for now. We'll get to the rest at the end of the review. The bad one, Ryan B. Bad, skipped Raw last night because, to quote Mandy and Dana, it's not worth it. Send a message.
Send a message. Sometimes it's better than not watching.
And before we get on with the full review, there was a video you wanted to show me.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, you and I have had a bit of we've been struggling with Raw as of late, right? A couple of weeks ago it was I'd much rather talk about something else. Well, I do my own podcast where I review a TV show from the 90s called GamesMaster. It was ran from 92 through to about 98. And it was a video game show where kids would go on, they would take challenges from this sort of omnipotent being called the Gamesmaster. And if you won, you would win a Gamesmaster Golden Joystick. But they also had celebrity challenges on there. So they had pop stars and sportsmen, things like that. And I've recently reviewed an episode where the celebrity guest was Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. And it's Macho Man Randy Savage playing a game on the Mega CD, or the Sega CD as it was in the US. So I thought that I would just entertain us all by a little trip down memory lane, and also to see when wrestlers were genuine stars. Although this is 1990, it's late 1993, so Macho's a commentary at this point. But yeah, I thought you might enjoy Macho Man Randy Savage on GamesMaster.
Right, it's time for our celebrity challenge. It's going to be a bit of a mad one, this. Right, please give a big WWF style welcome to Macho Man Randy Savage! Right, okay, so let's have a word with Randy. Randy, now, in between bashing heads, do you get much time to play computer games?
Let me tell you something. I'm going to win the challenge. Not only am I going to win, but I'm going to win big, yeah, because that's where the Macho Man does it.
Don't give him a cheer! Go down in the crowd and pick out one of our audience to take on the challenge. Someone tough and mean.
Someone tough, someone
Who wants to take on the challenge?
I'll be right back.
Thank you. Lady, tell us your name.
Bertha.
You understand that I'm the Macho Man. You're going to get beat. You got to understand that. Do you understand that?
You ready
No.
to take this?
No, she doesn't understand it.
She what?
I'm going to thrash you.
Ooh, brave words from B there. Okay, well, let's go to the Gamesmaster, see what the challenge is going to be.
For my celebrity challenge, I've selected the WrestleFest Rage in the Cage for the Sega Mega CD.
Dave, Randy Savage, what are his chances?
Well, I've seen the WWF, and I'm not too convinced. I want to tell Randy and all the WWF, here on GamesMaster, we do it for real. And he's going to have to be on top of his form if he's going to beat Bertha, because he'll get crushed, because she's playing his nemesis, Crush, in the ring. It's going to be a good challenge. And there's Crush's energy bar that's going down now. And Crush is up. And he's landing a punch on Randy Savage. Oh, there's a headbutt. I wouldn't want that one. There's a headbutt, and Randy Savage looks stunned. He's not moving. He's climbing down. You coward! In your dirty pink trousers. Go on, Crush. Crush going down that pitch. It's all over. Crush and Bertha have beaten the Macho Man.
WWF challenge. That means Bertha's the winner. Let's get them both back on stage and give her a joystick. Well done, brave attempt. What went wrong?
I didn't get beat. I got whooped. Bertha, congratulations right there. I want to ask you a question. In the future, if I have to go against Yokozuna and Crush, will you be my tag team partner?
Of course. Sounds like a great offer.
Together we'll be the tower of power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, sky's the limit, space is the place, birth and the macho man, doing the thing. Unbelievable, yeah!
After that great challenge, we're going to go straight up to the GamesMaster, check out what's happening in the consultation zone.
That's a fun, right?
That's a promo guy. What was he?
Say again.
It's interesting. It's interesting how you can have wrestling promos can make no sense content-wise. Similar to Retribution's promo backstage after the Drew McIntyre beatdown bit. But it does, if you've got enough charisma, you can get it over. He just said nouns.
Oh yeah, and as long as they rhymed, it was fine. Space is the place, funky like a monkey. That means nothing. And I was there, and there's a big smile on my face, and I was watching you, and you had this. Every time the Macho Man talked, you had this big grin just go across your face, like, "Oh, that's very entertaining."
Yes. Where can people listen to you talk about that show?
So that is under consultation. If you search for GamesMaster in your podcast feeds, you'll find us because it's quite hard to search for because we managed to pick a name that's very difficult to search for. We're on Twitter at @UnderConsolePod. And yeah, we had a fun old time reviewing that episode.
Well, as much as we would all like to just watch that clip on repeat, we should probably get to this episode of Raw. We've already done the opening Drew McIntyre promo, but when is it? I can't believe I've forgotten this guy's name. Venkman.
Adnan? I've forgotten it as well.
Adnan Venkman. Adnan Virk, whatever he is. The new lead play-by-play guy. Oh, like I said, I don't like criticizing individual people for their actual talent. He is not very engaging.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think that he already sounds like Tom Phillips, who already sounded like Michael Cole, who already sounded like Rich Brennan,
he's
sounded
worse. I think he's markedly worse.
He'll give it 3 months and he'll be gone. And Tom Phillips will just be back and we'll just have another reshuffle of this. I give him until SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm. We got the Drew McIntyre promo after that. Then we got Viking Raiders versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin already in the ring. Wait, boof, boof, boof. I've suddenly accidentally gotten up last week's Raw. Nope, it's the same thing. Viking Raiders come down. They have decent in-ring action, of course. Look at the talent there. But they won with the Viking Express.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, here we go. Like, it was a case of, I was looking at the film, I was like, well, either Cedric and Shelton win, and it's 50-50 booking, and that is bad, or the Viking Raiders win, and nothing is achieved, and my time is wasted. Neither are good options. But when you've got such a shallow, like, tag team pool, you do end up just having the same matches every week, because, like, I mean, who else are the Viking Raiders going to have a match with? Like, who else is in the tag team division? But then what do you do the week after that? Like, they've only got so many tag
Cedric
teams.
Alexander and Shelton again.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it would have given us a week break. But then you had to repeat the Kofi Elias stuff later on in this show. So they were tied up, I guess.
I will share this story because this just reminded me. So it's a lot easier to watch Raw in this country. Of course, we've got BT Sport, but we that early in the morning, it's probably easier to use a naughty link. And I was watching it and I was speeding through lots of pop-ups on these naughty links. And my lady partner had left for an exercise class and then she came back and she said, "Oh, how's the wrestling?" And I turned around and I was telling her how bad it was. And then she went, "Why is there so much porn on your screen?" And I looked round and a pop-up had opened of there was no subtlety about this. It was just a lot of full-on pornography. Hardcore. Yeah. And that put me in a very awkward position because it did just look like she had left and I was just watching a lot of porn.
Yeah, just like, you know what, the show is pretty boring. So,
and this was the one time I wasn't watching porn.
My my wife came into the room and just was like, oh, how's it going? Are you enjoying watching the show? And I was like, yeah, not really. And she came in just as the DQ happened in that second tag match. And I literally was just like, so I had I've got my earbud in and I'm just chatting away with her. And then I look and I just heard the match end. And I literally was like, are you joking me? Like I literally Billy Kane, like, are you actually kidding me? And she was like, I'll just leave you to it. Yeah. I'll come back later.
The rage room to watch that end. After the tag match, we had Randy Orton telling Kevin Patrick we'll never see the Fiend again. And then Riddle interrupted him by scooting round him, wanting to form an RK Bro team. I actually, the Riddle character is not for me. But I must say, I'd be lying if this didn't get a chuckle out of me. And I think it might be the tandem of Orton and Riddle. So it's a similar tandem to Pete Dunne and Riddle. There's something about the straight man, odd man that kind of makes it work. And I wouldn't mind an RK Bro team.
And I'll be honest with you, like I really liked Randy in all of this when he then goes up to not general manager Adam Pearce and was just like, look, I don't know who he is. I don't know what his name is, but he's the guy with the long blonde hair who rides around a scooter. I want to match with him. Because I'm like, that totally fits in with the Randy Orton character. I'm just like, well, you're new. You weren't here in 2006. Ergo, I don't know who you are. So I
was the United States champion. Was the United States champion up until last week.
Randy doesn't care about that. If Randy Orton's not involved in it, like the character of Randy Orton, if it's not a storyline he's not involved in, he's not paying attention. So it totally made sense to me that he would not know who Riddle is.
Charlotte came out to cut a promo, exactly the same. A lot of the promos on this show, much like the matches, were the exact same as stuff the previous week. So she did the same spiel, but they changed it up a bit. And the rest of the segment played out entirely designed to stop Asuka speaking. Because I can just feel like when they sit down to write these segments, they're like, but we can't have Asuka speak. She's not English. So Charlotte did a bit. Asuka came out, was about to speak. Rhea interrupted her. Charlotte kept on telling Asuka to stop speaking. Asuka breaks and screams the word bitch. That's the main event. Asuka versus Flair.
Yeah, pretty much.
But then we did get Randy versus Riddle. And I can't believe I'm saying it. Maybe Raw's broken me. I enjoyed their interaction before. I thought the match was really good too.
Oh, no, I really enjoyed this match. I thought this match was really great, actually. For me, this was easily my favorite thing on the show. Like you say, like this was plans changing for the better. I really liked all the sleeper stuff at the start of like Randy Orton doing like the sit out of this and thinking that he was escaped, and Riddle just instantly gets back into the sleeper and stuff. Like this felt like a motivated Orton, and that in turn like really helped put over Riddle. The bigger problem with all of this is because this clearly was not the direction they were going, because Sean's report was that the reason why Sheamus won the US title is because they wanted to continue the feud with Riddle. So that they put the title on Sheamus so as a way to extend out the feud, right? And that kind of makes sense because, we also got announced this week that it's Orton versus Braun. And so I've got a theory here. I've got a bit of a theory. I've absolutely no evidence to back this up. But all I am doing is I am piecing things together based on reports that we've had, not just from WrestleMania, but also from last year. Last year, the big reports were Randy Orton wants to work with some of the new talents. Like he wants to work with Tommaso Ciampa in particular. Like there's some an NXT guys. There was our own Louis Dangoor was on this, and there was a lot of other people corroborated this story as well. That Orton wants to work with new guys. He's kind of like a bit sick of just working with the same people over again. He'd much rather work with some new talents. And you follow that up with the report with the Fiend, where they had no idea what the story was. The talent were told not what the end goal was because the writers and the creative didn't know what the end goal was. And then they changed the finish of the match late in the, on the weekend. So it was meant to be Fiend wins and Orton takes time off. And that then got changed to Orton wins and stays on TV. So my theory is Orton didn't want to do the match last week either because that's ground he's already covered, working with Drew and, doesn't really want to work with Braun either, because it's like, well, I've already done the WWE Championship picture. I'd much rather do something else. I think this is a Randy Orton demanded thing of like, look, I've done everything you've asked of me. I signed a new contract with you when I could have gone elsewhere. I did the Fiend thing and you gave me absolutely nothing for that. You kept giving me bad creative and I've had a miserable time doing that feud. I don't want to be doing this thing either. I don't want to be working with Braun. I want to work with someone new. I want to work with Matt Riddle. And like, you just like Randy Orton's, I've been posting about it on Twitter, and like, you can see him in this match. He felt motivated. He felt renewed and revigored. This to me felt like this was a Randy Orton, not demanded thing, but certainly heavily requested thing of like, scrap that. I want to do this.
You could very well be onto something there. Yeah. It's a shame that, like you said, they made Riddle job to Lashley over 10 minutes last week because it kind of undercuts everything. But,
so the plan was clearly for Riddle not to like get over off the feud with Sheamus and then so he can get a big win over Randy Orton here. Like that was never the plan because, well, you know, they were advertising Orton versus Braun. So I think this is, it's just like Randy Orton's the one who's now changed the creative. Let's do something a bit more fun that I'll enjoy doing.
Well, he certainly seemed motivated here. I thought you can tell when Randy wants to put over the guy, make him look better. A lot of sleeper stuff early, which makes me surprised that he pretended to not know who he was in the preceding promo. I thought that, I didn't like that. I thought that was a bit petty. But overall, Riddle caught Orton in a surprise roll-up off the RKO to win. So, sure. Let's see where it goes. It's hard to get excited about anything, even if the wrestlers are actively pitching for it backstage, because nothing happens in this company on Raw.
I know where it goes. Randy Orton's going to beat him next week on Raw, and then they'll probably do another rematch the week after.
A backlash. Well, you know, Arcade Bro, come on. Give me something here, WWE. After that, Sheamus said backstage that he's not going to do the Cena Open Challenge thing for the US title. He's going to forge his own legacy. Then we got... let's just do all this in one bit. Because it sort of spread out over two segments. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler took on Naomi and Lana. Goes a few minutes. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke come out. Just looking like... Everyone is so wooden in this. Like, I think the people involved now realize they've always probably known how bad it is, but everyone's given up here. They point to the screen, hey, Nia, and they play not a clip to distract someone. They play like a video recap, which is it just makes no sense. Everyone looks rubbish. They do it 3 times. The first one when she hit her, the second one when she pushed her over, the third one when Nia slipped off the apron. So Nia storms after them, grumpy. Shayna, the only person who's actually a really good wrestler in all of this, that's unfair, but you know, she's the actual really exciting wrestler out of all of this. She takes the pin. Nia is left at the top of the ramp and she's like, This was when we spoke about Orton being motivated in the preceding segment. I know what a motivated Nia looks like. She can be very funny. She's got great facials. This was not it.
Yeah, I going by like Jax's Twitter outburst that she had over the weekend. I think she just wants to feud with Tamina and Natalya. And she is not bothered by any of this nonsense on Raw. And she's just sick and done with this now. Because she's not trying. She's really not. And like no one feels like they're putting in any effort into this. It's not making anyone look good. It's making Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke look really bad. Because they're coming out here to be like, oh, we're cool baby faces. But they're acting like dicks. And Lana and Naomi just like are still feuding with this. As has been pointed out by Sean over on Fightful. This is the 14th match between Lana or Naomi against Shayna or Nia since September. The 14th match between them. Friggin' hell, I'm sick and tired. And then Corey Graves, of all people, on commentary was like, well, Lana and Naomi need to take advantage of this situation they're in. I was like, what do you mean? They get this situation every couple of weeks. If they don't take advantage of it now, they'll just do it in a fortnight. And then, like, what do they gain from winning them? So they'll get another tag shot that they'll just lose next week, I'd imagine. Who cares? And then when Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke came on stage, I was just done with it. These 3 teams continue to feud, and I hate this show.
but it wasn't done there. Because I'll tell you where I think this is all going. Later on, we get Rose and Brooke backstage. Sarah Schreiber is interviewing them. She just asks the worst questions, which is, do you think that was appropriate behavior out there? Like, that's like school teachers speak. What the hell is that? How's that meant to get over the baby faces? And the baby faces run away as soon as Nia walks into shot. Awfully staged, by the way. It just so happens that everybody required for this story is going to walk into the same 2-meter area that's in shot right now. So Mandy and Dana run away. Shayna then walks up to Nia and says, you better focus or else. So they're breaking up soon. Shayna walks off. Then Angel Garza in a suit walks in and says, I don't know what you see in her, to Nia, which means they're going to get together, because that's hilarious when men get together with Nia Jax. I'm doing what Vince McMahon thinks, not me. So yeah, that's my prediction. Yeah. We're getting the latest for. It didn't work out with Reginald. Garza's lying around backstage.
Yeah, I completely forgot. I completely forgot about it as well. But you mentioned it in your review, Enzo. Like they did this storyline with Enzo. They did it with Reginald. It didn't work with him. Yeah, it's Vince McMahon's the Eva Marie or the Emelina gimmick. It's like, oh man, I will get this gimmick onto someone eventually. God damn it, I will do it eventually. And now I think this is like, God damn it, I will get this Nia Jax dates a man gimmick over on someone. It has to work with someone. Angel Garza's the latest attempt at it. And I guess it's because Charlie Caruso's now gone. Angel's storyline with her, was that still going or did that get dropped?
No, that was dropped 100 years ago. Plus, I don't know if Vince is just trying the same thing, the definition of madness. Maybe he just doesn't remember. There could be that as well.
Yeah. That's a very good point. It could just be that.
We got a pretty cool clip, all in Puerto Rican, with Bad Bunny and Damien Priest, where it was like a post-Mania interview. I thought they both came across really well there. And then we got a Miz TV segment. Miz is out with Maurice. No John Morrison. Not a mention of John Morrison. Not even to serve the story where it seemed like they were breaking them up too. Priest comes out, interrupts them. I thought he came across quite lame, just with the script they gave him. But he looked very good in the match. And he got his win back.
Great. Like, it's just like Priest. Yeah, you're right. They gave him some bad material because there's that moment when like he drinks the champagne and he's like, "Oh, your champagne is garbage." I'm like, and
I can relate to this man on screen who knows what champagne tastes like.
That's what I thought. I was like,
this tough
cool.
guy.
And like, yeah, a lot of this does feel like, God, Bad Bunny's great, isn't he? God, his tour sold out. I'm pretty sure we had a hand in that. I'm pretty sure that we're the reason why the tour sold out. And then like when Miz and Maurice are cutting this promo and like it's just there to put over their TV show that no one watches, like Damien Priest comes out and Byron Saxton says, Damien Priest has a score to settle with The Miz. I'm like, no, he doesn't, Byron. He beat him at WrestleMania. Like, we've already seen him settle the score. When people are like, what do you mean that, like, nothing matters? This is what I mean by nothing matters. He literally beat him. He beat him back in October, back in February when he debuted. But they still have to pretend like, oh, well, as long as you only remember the previous week, he did settle a score this week.
Well, speaking of repetitive things that get us nowhere, Elias took on Kofi Kingston next. They had a match, and Elias won clean.
Yep, I've got 3 notes here. Woods plays Austin's music on the bass. Elias wins 50-50 booking.
This is just... it's a lesson I keep learning over and over again, but it's always the same amount of depressing. And that is... if WWE or Vince McMahon don't see anything in you at the start, they can even push you, like Kofi, to an extent where, as fan service, back at WrestleMania 34? Is that the right one? Also, yes, okay, Puerto Rican isn't Spanish. I can see you in the chat.
Well,
they spoke Spanish.
Puerto Rican isn't a language. I think so we were, yeah.
But yeah, this company doesn't see anything in Kofi. It doesn't see anything in Dijakovic. It doesn't see anything in Keith Lee. So screw us for getting excited about these people, right?
Kofi Mania was booked in spite of us. Like, we sort of got that. Like, it was because the fans got behind Kofi. They were like, oh, okay, well, fine. Well, we will do Kofi Mania then. But not going to treat him like a champion. Then he's just going to lose the belt, and then he's just back to the tag team. Because they never believed in him as a WWE champion. Never believed in him at that top level. Treated him like a champ, and now he's just a lad. And they've never seen him like that. So, like, all of that belief, all of that goodwill that we had, just what was the point of it all? Because they just sort of like, and then you have the staunch defenders who'd be like, they gave you Kofi and you still complained. It's like, yeah, they gave us crap. Like, they gave us Kofi as the C plot of his own show. And we're supposed to like just like that, I guess, because he's the champion.
After that, we got Alexa Bliss's Playground. I thought this was pretty good, actually. They put in Lily, her little puppet. She was sort of photoshopped into old childhood photos of Bliss. And Lily used to make Bliss hurt people, other children, because she didn't like them. And now she doesn't like any of the Raw women's roster.
But I thought it was the Fiend that made her bad. Like, the Fiend let the evil, like, by siding with the Fiend, she said this last week, right? By siding with the Fiend, she let the evil in. But now the evil is it like through Lily, so she doesn't need the Fiend anymore. But this promo is telling us that she always had the evil, because the evil was with her since she was a child, because she broke a girl's arm, because Lily made her do it. Like, you know, sort of like a play on the Chucky thing, right? So they just make it up as they go along. Doesn't really matter. I'm not that arsed about it. I think the Lily doll is quite cool, and I think the little biting thing it does, although is it alive? Are we supposed to think it's alive? Is pretty good. But like, this whole Lily stuff would have made so much more sense if it had been introduced during the Fiend thing. Like, when she first sided with the Fiend and she got her own puppets. And that puppet was Lily, because she wanted to introduce something into the Firefly Funhouse. And so you could have had it there as Chekhov's gun. And now this is starting to pay off. But it's not. It's been introduced after the feud is done. And we're just supposed to pretend now that it's been there all along.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Then we got the Nia Jax stuff backstage. Then we got Drew Braun taking on T-Bar and Mace. Then we got Damien Priest versus The Miz. So that actually happened here. I've already forgotten. Then we got Sheamus.
When he won, they said, what a big time win for Damien Priest.
Yeah.
I was like, bigger than when he beat him in February, bigger than when he beat him at WrestleMania. It's not that big time, is it?
Then we got Sheamus coming out. This was one of the better things on the show. After saying that he wouldn't do the US Open challenge, he was like, I'm going to be a fighting champion. And he was in full gangs of new Sheamus. And it was like, come on, anyone come out here, open challenge every week. Humberto Carrillo comes out and he attacks him before the bell, beats the crap out of him, keeps his suspenders on, brogue kick. So yeah, he's doing the heel shtick of just beating people up before they can actually have the fight, which, you know, I'm really in for. I fully expect it to be dropped in a week.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, but, you know, there was never any plan for Sheamus by the looks of things after he won the belts. I did say, like, when they were going to put it on, it was like, what would be the point? But however, if Sheamus's gimmick is just going to be to have cool segments where he beats up people or he has the best matches on TV, I'm totally fine with that. I'm absolutely cool with that, because he's great at the moment.
And then our main event was Asuka versus Charlotte. Rhea Ripley had come out of ringside to watch on. They had a pretty intense back and forth at the start. It built to Charlotte getting the figure eight locked in, but Rhea sort of cuffed Flair's arms away like a cat.
Hated that finish. Hated this finish.
Which let Asuka roll up Charlotte. Hey, Asuka beat Charlotte in a main event of Raw. And Charlotte was so annoyed. She beat up a referee, which isn't done that often in WWE. A beatdown angle like that of a referee is a big deal. But for some reason, it doesn't. You know, they've announced since that they've suspended her, fined her $100,000, all kayfabe. But it's like, yeah, I feel like that should be bigger. Why weren't more people trying to stop her? Why weren't Asuka and Rhea trying to stop her?
Well, they don't care. The referees were trying to stop her. I didn't like this finish, because I just think it makes Asuka look like a bit of a champ. Asuka lost the match, realistically, because Charlotte locked in the figure eight. Asuka wasn't getting out of that. Like, Charlotte had this match won, and then Rhea Ripley interfered on Asuka's behalf. So, like, we're now building a feud between Asuka and Rhea Ripley, where Asuka is the third wheel. It's actually just a feud between Ripley and Charlotte Flair, and I don't like that.
No. Rhea Ripley is also the third wheel here. There's only one wheel. Wheel doesn't work, but a wheel of woo, and that is Charlotte. I fully expect it to be a three-way at WrestleMania. There's Backlash, and I think Charlotte's going to...
And they can be like, what? No, you're suspended. You shouldn't be here. And then probably fine her another 100,000 or something.
You think they took Flair off TV for just a week after returning for a week? So you think they're going to take her off for that long?
Oh yeah,
no.
Yeah. Well, in which case, then why say suspended indefinitely? You may as well just said suspended for a week.
But that suspended for a week is nothing.
Well, yeah, but if you suspend someone indefinitely, then bring them back after a week, that also means nothing.
You're suspended until the next show. Yeah, overall, it was a crap episode. Very crap. But compared to recent times, it was not as crap. So just a goddamn awful show. I hate it. 2 out of 5.
Yep, I agree. 2 out of 5 show for me because it was better than last week. It was better than the week before, but it was still a bad show. Looks like everyone's in agreement with us. 43% on the community poll also thought it was a 2 out of 5 show, with Rawful getting 27%. That's 1 out of 5. And Average getting 25% of the vote. That's 3 out of 5. I would say there was quite a vocal push in the comments to be like that people were being too harsh on this show because it was bang average. It should have got a 3 out of 5, and people were being too harsh by giving it a 2 out of 5 show.
I'm sure. I don't think so. But yes, let's do our Pledge Hammer shout outs. We'll read out all of your hyper chats very shortly, get them into WrestleTalk.com/support. But before our Pledge Hammers, what can they enjoy if they sign up this week, Luke?
Oh, well, tomorrow, Adam Blompier and I are going to be recording our review of Backlash 2000, voted for in the Patreon poll. I have been wanting to review this show since we started WrestleTalk Extra 4 or 5 years ago, so I'm super excited about it. Also going through the Wrestling Observer newsletter, there is an article in there, there's a piece by Dave Meltzer in there about WWE are looking to sign this small lad called Brock Lesnar. It was on the week that Backlash aired, it would be oh yeah, there's this guy called Brock Lesnar who's an NCAA champion. He's a really impressive, athletic guy. WWE are looking to sign him. So yeah, so it's a really interesting time to look at.
Well, go over to Patreon and sign up there, and you'll get that this week, I believe. Next week, if not this week. And $25 a month or more backers also get a wrestling name and a shout out in our Hall of Fame here. Thank you. Jordan, don't you dare call me Mountain Dew.
Always leave the crowd wanting Brian Moore.
Angelic and Hello Macedo.
Was that Puerto Rican? Say it to my face, Riley Finlayson.
This is some kind of Patreon shout out. Nate, drop surname.
Still relevant. Peter Fiber Brontus.
Chris Hellfire Brimstone.
Ari and Shefrere, the booze awaits.
Jonathan, the Headmaster Headman.
Probably better than Kyle, Philip O'Reilly.
Living in the past, Kieran Pryor.
And lastly, for this Hall of Fame class on the 20th of April 2021, Raul, see ya later, Lever.
Thank you, everybody, ever so much. Let's get into these hyper chats. Peter Mullins, watching SRS today, him and Denise had 0 super chats about Raw. People talked about Jake Paul, Askren, EastEnders joking about how crap WWE is. What? Days of Our Lives. They had to force Raw talk. We've hit the worst possible reaction. No one cares anymore. Sean's final thought about Raw was, it'll go from 1.5 million to just me, Denise, Luke, and Ollie watching to review it for the rest of you. I'm beginning to agree with him. Me and the lads just watch the reviews of the shows now. Much love to you all.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, like Sean's big theory is that it's just going to be the four of us left doing the reviews. Like everyone else is just going to give up on it.
Yeah, we're the string quartet on the Titanic. Black Adam, new GOP, Republican, Charlotte has go away heat with me. Also, is it just me or does she have a new face every time she's on TV? The Alexa stuff is complete S-word. I don't know if it's because I'm too old. I even play Kingdom Hearts still, and I can't watch this. Nicholas Lama, remember when Dominik Dijakovic was having bangers with Keith Lee in NXT? T-Bar members. Vince probably didn't know his name used to be Dominic. No, of course he didn't. You need a cool name, like T-Bar. Giacomo Svaghelio. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's not even slightly your name. Orton beat The Fiend at Mania because he was going to have a number one contenders match, which he lost. He then went on to lose to Riddle, who lost at Mania. Thanks for coming, Fiend. Also, it wasn't some kind of Dio Madden. It was a Dio Madden-like wrestler. Important distinction.
Yeah.
Leon Quashy, if I was trying to introduce new viewers, to wrestling, and for some reason got the TV stuck on Raw, I'd get laughed at. Great trunk viewing material, though. Also, magnificent 4 heads on display, 5 heads. I'll tell you great trunk viewing material. Thunder Force on Netflix, starring Melissa McCarthy. That is a bag of crap, but it was fun.
Did you enjoy it more, or did you enjoy it more than Godzilla vs. Kong?
Honestly, Jason Bateman in it is very funny.
Can't believe you didn't like it, man. I can't believe you didn't like it.
I watched Promising Young Woman last night. Hot damn movie of the year. Fantastic.
I cannot wait. Watching that this weekend. I cannot wait.
Very good. Brendan Harris. Mad respect to the little girl Alexa pushed off the swing. She saved her ice cream despite breaking her arm. Also, didn't know this is what they meant by Nia being an irresistible force. Good on you, Nia. Get that D. Dean Brereton, I totally understand the Omos situation. It was probably all the 450s and rope walking he did. I agree with Arcade Bro team, though. Be a nice dynamic and help Riddle. I'm really enjoying the best of 90 series between the teams in the women's division. 7 stars.
And next week, I know I'm going to have to see those bloody teams have another match that goes 3 minutes. And it's only 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. It really shouldn't bother me as much as it does. Yeah. I'll hot tag in, though. George Todd said, I cried when Bianca won at Mania. My partner who was with me this time got annoyed as I didn't cry when she dumped me last year. My response was, I've been dumped many times. This is a first. Macdiv 24/7. Do you guys, do you think maybe they're giving us this bull S word because they're waiting for fans to return? Also, you guys are the Baldy twins now. Appreciate you both, Mr. Luke, the Duke, and Mr. Davis, the Outrageous. No, they think this is a good show, Mactiv. They genuinely think they're putting on a good show that you should watch and enjoy.
I think they're just lazy. I don't think they care.
Matt Shaw, given that there are no stars to put new talent over anymore, how long does it take to turn the product around if they ever intend or want to?
How long does it take to years? Like Paul Heyman was doing the turning the product around by focusing and building on new stars. They gave him 6-9 months and it didn't happen fast enough. So they got rid of him. But I think he was doing something there. So, 2 years, really, you need to rebuild this show.
Mm-hmm. And really, at the end of the day, it's not about building new stars. WWE is the star. Like, you put WWE on the marquee, people buy the tickets. And I think that's what they're still relying on. We'll see how long that can last for. James Hanley, Thunderdome is bad for WWE. It's a great idea and it looks really cool, but it finally gives Vince control over crowd response. With crowds being told whom to cheer and boo, it only creates a creative echo chamber and it amplifies the company's worst tendencies. You can do a series on Patreon where you review old episodes of Raw and SmackDown, kind of like how you're doing with the monthly retro pay-per-view reviews.
That'd be very difficult to keep up. We don't have the time right now. We'd love to. Particularly some of those old Raws. With the Thunderdome is 100% positive for WWE compared to the Performance Center shows. There's no argument about that. It was a genuine ratings draw. But yes, Thunderdome versus actual fans, of course, actual fans are better.
Can someone confirm if this is true? Planet Dan ASMR said, in a recent episode of EastEnders, there was a scene where a character said, "This is better than watching WWE." I said, yes, it is. Even they know. I can't help but hope the writer put it there on the purpose. Is that true?
I mean, someone tell us.
EastEnders. Apparently, that last super chat as well about the Patreon thing was by Ket. Sorry about that. EastEnders WWE. Yeah, Digital Spy has EastEnders referenced WWE. One second.
Wow.
This is a Digital Spy. EastEnders Sonia Fowler returned to Walford with a thud on Friday night's episode, and she saved Tiffany and Dottie from an angry punter named Greg. Tiffany and Dottie have been carrying it. Maybe they had an actual fight that said this is better than watching WWE. Things got even darker when Greg told the woman, "We're going to have to find another way for you to pay me," and then they didn't have any money. But then in a WWE surprise return, Sonya made her grand return. In a sneak peek from yeah, they're back and forth, then causes Dottie to explain, "This is better than watching WWE."
So not like anything is better than watching WWE.
Yeah. Well, they're saying the thing I am currently looking at is like watching WWE. Or it's like it's better than WWE. Okay. Bacon Ration said, "Hi, lads. Here's one for you. Who can name the most superstars on the Raw brand who have not had a match on Raw since Mania? E.g. AJ, Omos, Ricochet. What another terrible Raw going by. WrestleTalk and Fight for Reviews. This will not change. Hashtag NXT Review."
Yeah. I guess Bobby Lashley wrestled last week. Fiend appeared. Can't think of, or Keith Lee's the one for me.
Yeah, Humberto Carrillo technically hasn't had a match. Grand Metalik and the other one of them of the Lucha House Party have not had a match on
Kalisto
Raw.
got released. Oh my god, Lindsay Dorado.
Lindsay Dorado, thank you. Genuinely could not remember what his name was then. Gabe Teal. Hi, guys. What would be one major change you would make to fix Raw? I used to believe making Raw 2 hours would help the show, but to be honest, they don't even have enough compelling storylines to fill 2 hours. The show sucks.
No, but that's seriously the first thing I would do. 2 hours. It's worse. It's so much worse with 3 hours. Sometimes you look at what was on the show and you're like, that would be a 2 out of 5 2-hour show. But actually stretched over 3 hours and they haven't got enough ideas to fill it week to week. It sucks. And it's just destroying, crushes my fandom of wrestling, honestly. It's been like this for 7 years. I hate it.
Bezo Banks, please move Naomi to SmackDown. Let her be with Sasha and Bianca. I'm tired of them wasting when she's organically over with everyone without even trying and is seriously good in the ring. You have all the talent back there and do diddly dick with them. BS.
Wouldn't change a thing. Just like we said with all the other wrestlers, they don't see anything in her. Doesn't matter where they put her, they're never going to push her properly.
James Hanley, the horrifying thing is that it's probably going to get worse. Vince's narcissism is WWE's narcissism. Neither take responsibility for their faults or acknowledge past failings. Both openly mock others' mistakes while trying to bury their own history. Brian K002, do you think that Sasha Banks is one of the best in-ring performers today and a potential icon? Reminds me of Eddie and Shawn Michaels. Also, look at Jack, man. That's a nice callback. Yeah, Sasha's great. Like, incredible.
Yeah, she's great, but she's not one of the best in-ring performers today, I would say.
Eric August. Hi, guys. First-time Hyperchatter here. I think WWE absolutely had to make budget cuts. I mean, what other way is there to pay for Jake Paul for his on-screen victory celebration after Logan's Mania appearance than using employee salaries? Jake Paul wins, LOL. I don't really know what this whole thing is, I'll be honest with you. I know that, like, did Jake Paul have a boxing match? Was that this weekend?
Yes, over the weekend. Is his name yes, and he won.
Okay, and he won. Okay.
Yes.
Was it a big win?
No, Logan Paul. Logan Paul was on.
Was it a big boxing thing?
Oh yeah, it was huge. It did like 1.5 million buys. Yes,
okay,
did.
Good for them.
No, it's a weird. I thought it was the same Paul brother. Jake boxed. Logan was on Mania. Okay, well, still did a lot of buys on pay-per-view. Way more than Mania.
Yeah. way more than we would do if we did it. Do you want me to hot tag back?
Yes. BRP Entertainment. Did you guys see Mox versus Barnett on Bloodsport? That match was incredible. Definitely check it out if you have time. It's brutal. Might take your mind off of this trash. Good day, gents. All the best. Yeah, I'm going to watch that soon. I sort of took a break from wrestling at the end of last week. It was a long old week.
Oh, mate. Taking Friday to Monday off of wrestling. I thought it would make me really invigorated for watch this episode of Raw, and it didn't really help.
Poet the Poet's Poet. In semi-related news, there's a fair chance that my unborn child was conceived with your two lovely voices acting as ambience. Do with this information what you will.
Thanks.
Congratulations, Poet the Poet's Poet. Do many people make love to us talking about wrestling? I know I do. LJ Mickey. Hello, Mr. Davis and Luke Owen. If you would create a wrestling super league, topical, that's a sports reference, with 10 to 15 absolute best wrestlers on the planet that have matches only with each other, who would you pick? Thanks for the content, Jam That Jam. We won't do a full 15, but obviously Kenny Omega, Okada, Young Bucks, Keith Lee.
Yeah, Roman Reigns.
John Reigns. Cena. Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens. Yeah,
there's quite a lot of people that you could pick in there. Although, I mean, really, I wouldn't, because you've just got 15 guys that are going to have the same matches every single week, and that sounds like a terrible thing to watch.
But the money! Charles Berg. Instead of Raw, let's talk about my job. I take care of dogs. Not to brag, but I make a nice living from it. I specialize in making nervous dogs feel safe and brave. I have a new nervous guy named Mouse, who's now feeling brave. Is Mouse a good boy? Yes, he is.
That's adorable.
Good on you, Charles. Gareth Chesney. I haven't watched wrestling for a long time, but keep in touch at a safe distance through your channels. I love the miserable WWE fan existence through you, so thank you. Also, Ollie, are you cosplaying as a Harry Potter character? Hashtag Lord Voldemort. Thank you. The Zornice, Edwin Bacino, asked us to say thank you, Luke, for the Macho Man clip.
You're very welcome. It was so much fun to put together. Love it.
And finally, for now, Zachary Jenkins. Mr. Davis, you summed it up perfectly in your review. This show is only made for one person, and that's very sad. Also, Luke, I saw Godzilla vs. Kong, and I'm convinced they are the Monsterverse. Hashtag DIY.
Well, they are the Monsterverse. It's the culmination of the Monsterverse, if anything. That's it. Now it's basically done.
And speaking of done, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you all for joining us in this group therapy session every week. We'll be back here next Tuesday, of course, to help us through another terrible episode of being a WWE fan. But it is NXT tomorrow, which is significantly better with Tempest and Chopper. What else have we got coming up this week, Luke?
Oh, we'll be doing the AEW review on Thursday, looking at, what is my favorite wrestling show of the week. And then on the magazine show, Adam and Denise, Team Damn, back together again after last week's cracking episode. They're going to be doing the magazine show together again. And then on Saturday, it'll be Tempest and Pete reviewing SmackDown, which is way better than Raw. And even then, it's just marginally better than Raw. It's still got the same incoherent nonsense on it, but it is a better show. So yeah, that is coming up this week on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. Please do subscribe to this channel, because we're only 5,000 subscribers away from hitting our 50,000 subscriber goal. And when we do, we're going to do a 10 to 11 hour marathon live stream where we're going to watch all of the Attitude Era shows back, like our WrestleManias back to back. So that's WrestleMania 14, 15, 16, and 17 back to back. It's going to be so much fun. We would love to have you along with us. So please help us get to 50,000 subscribers so we can do that.
Jam that jam.
Fist me, bro. Nope, other way. Fist me, bro. Right there. Do it. I know you want to. I see the good in you, Mr. Davis. I see the good in you. You see the good in the fisting. That's time. It's time, Mr. Davis, to fist me.